That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther.
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
For sound bites. This is awesome.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study with Karen B and Just Jack. Hey Jack, how you doing?
I am well. Shabbat Shalom,
All
which
right, awesome.
uh, which means completion, peace on the day of rest.
Completion, peace on the day of rest. The whole phrase together means that? Shabbat Shalom?
Uh, yeah, Shabbat is when you're rested because everything's done,
Mm-hmm.
it's taken care of, and Shabbat is the day of rest. So,
Awesome. So, what we are doing here is we are going to have an objective study of Scripture and what it says. This is something that Jack did for himself already a while ago, and and gave me the idea to do this because I've talked to Jack quite a bit because he is my neighbor, and we our families spend a lot of time together. So I thought this is a great thing to do because I'm not religious. I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't follow any organized religion. However, I do think that there is a lot of knowledge to be gained by reading what is in this book. And I think it's important to read it for ourselves and to understand the meanings of these words and what it really means, what it's really saying objectively, and without the filter of your local preacher or the guy at the church, the guy that, he's not looking at it from from a place of truth, because we already know that we've been lied to so much, and religion has been used as a tool of control, as we all know, for so long. So I think it's important to break that down. What do you say, Jack?
yeah, so I tell people that I grew up religious and I've always had a love of the scriptures, but there was a period where I went completely the opposite, where I basically sold my soul, so to speak, where I was living under the guise of the evil of this world. And when I came back, I sold out and I said, I'm going to follow you as best I can. And eventually that led to the point where the Creator showed me that religion is not following Him. Religion is actually a suppression. It's a control mechanism that keeps us away from who He is, who we are, and what His Word says. And the thing that, inspired me to start studying Scripture for myself is the first thing that the Creator revealed to me is He said, how are you going to do what I want you to do if you don't know who I am? And my first thought is this is Satan or the enemy, like trying to stop me from believing. But in reality, the Creator was showing me that religion has nothing to do with Him, and that they took His name out of the Scriptures 6,829 times in the Old Testament alone, and that began my journey. So whenever you're ready, just let me know and I'll read my disclaimer.
I think you should go ahead and do the disclaimer right now.
Okay.
Let's do it.
First, my statement to the religious. If you believe that it's wrong to study the Scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your leaders of religion or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, then this stream is not for you. If you think that you got a good beat on things and you can't learn anything, you know what it is, don't watch this. Now to others. If you're open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about Scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in Scripture that has been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to Scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this is for you. We are looking at Scripture in the original language, using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as context from a non-religion perspective, as well as life experience discussion. We are not here to argue theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show the religious contradictions to Scripture. There you go.
Excellent.
All right. So, I don't know. I'll kill the camera just in case, I don't want any hiccups in the stream speed and whatnot. So,
Okay. I'll go ahead and keep my camera on. I don't care.
Okay.
But so for as far as initial reading, like starting out reading, which version should we read, or should we explain what versions we have here?
Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe we should start by saying, first of all, what we're using is this app called eSword X, or I have it on, right? eSword X. I downloaded it onto my Mac. I actually paid for it, and then I downloaded different versions of the Bible and then different dictionaries. So the versions that we have
are available to you if you email me, because I had to convert some of the free version from eSword, which is e-sword.net, downloadable for the PC. And there's a website called BibleSupport.com where you can download different modules. And I had to convert some of those for the Mac. So if you get the Mac version and you want some of these versions, let me know. But go ahead and share your screen. And
okay. I got to share my screen to you. Hold on. I'll share my.
I can look at the other one. It's fine. I got my phone up.
Well, I mean, if it helps, I'll share. It's fine.
All right. So basically, the one that she's looking at right now is available on the Mac version from the get-go.
Yes.
You have to go to File, Download, or something like that, and then this is called TS 2009, which TS stands for The Scriptures. And I like this version because it doesn't hide the transliterations. And transliterations is basically writing out Hebrew words in English characters. And it's better than the English versions that translate instead of transliterate the names and titles. Like, for instance, the creator's name. If you go to Genesis chapter 2.
Genesis chapter 2. Chapter 2, just the beginning?
Sure.
Okay.
If you see those Hebrew characters that are...
What? Oh, down here. Right? Okay, Jack.
Those Hebrew characters are the creator's name.
Jack.
I'm what?
Okay. Hello?
Yes?
Your audio
Can you hear
cut
me?
out. Yeah, okay. Sorry, your audio cut out for just a sec, but go. It's saying poor connection.
Yeah, I don't know why, because like you and I discussed before we went live, everything was working fine, and then as soon as we went to go live, everything started screwing up.
Okay, you're good. So,
anyway,
so these characters are the...
Is the 4-character name of the creator, Yod-He Vav-He. I say Yehovah. Some people say Yehovah, Yahuwah. That's fine. Some people say Yahweh, and we can get into that, but that definitely is not possible because that is a adaptation of the Samaritans for Jupiter. So Yahweh is the short form of Yahweh Peter, which is Jupiter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it can't be Yahweh. It can be Yehovah or Yehovah or Yahuwah. So I don't mind any of those. Okay, so we can go back to Genesis 1. So this is the reason that I like this version for reading. Now, as far as studying goes, go ahead and pull down HSB. So this is the Hebrew Study Bible. So this actually has the Hebrew characters. And by the way, Hebrew is right to left. So that's very important because it starts on the right. So if you look at the blue in the beginning, it's on the right-hand side instead of the left. So it has the Hebrew characters, then the English translation usually used by the KJV and others, then the pronunciation of the Hebrew characters, then the dictionary number for each word.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we're really going to look into here is the difference between the root words and what is actually displayed in the Hebrew. For instance, if you go down to Genesis 1:2, and you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters of Hebrew characters. Yep. But if you click on the number H776, and you look to the right, to the dictionary, if you'll change that to Strong's just to, simplify it. If you see how many characters are there, there's only 3 characters, not 5. So the difference is the one on the left there has 2 characters before, and those are called Hebrew prefixes. So you have to learn Hebrew prefixes, suffixes, and root words. But we're going to be focusing on the root words. I can throw in the prefixes and suffixes as I have them, because I've already looked into it and stuff. But if you look in the blue to the left of that word, it says "and the earth." So "and the" is actually a correct. They don't always do it correctly, but that is a correct translation of the first 2 letters. That the vav is and the hey is the. So it's "and the Oretz." All right?
All right.
So we can start with Genesis 1. And I'm actually going to screw you up already. I'm going to have to share screen because this first one, I had a problem with in the beginning. And the main reason being is because this is not a story of the beginning. This is a story of creation. And I don't know if you understand what I mean by that, the difference between the two. But basically, it's in the beginning was Elohiym. So before him, there was no creation. There was nothing to call creation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did I share screen yet? Sorry.
Nope.
Yes, that would help.
Yep.
All right. Start sharing. All right. So now I think you can see the screen.
It's black.
Uh-oh.
Is it working on it?
If I maximize it, you'll see it.
There we go.
Okay. All right. That's why. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. This is my first time doing it like this. All right. So, if we go to, I got HSB up here in the top left-hand corner. If you go to this first word right here, Bereshit, if you look at the first 3 letters right here, they are the exact same as these first 3 letters. So this could actually be a root word. Now I'm going to show you what they have first, which is right here, H7225, as Reshit, meaning first. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Drag it down. So the first. In place or time or order or rank, it's first.
Mm-hmm.
So the bet being in, and then this being first, okay, that works. But this is not a root word. The root word here is resh, which means head. And that's how they can get to first. So it'll say from the same, if you can see this highlighted right here, if I click on this dictionary, it'll actually say that it's from the root resh, which is what you need to do. When you're studying scripture, you need to get to the root. So you need to go, if it says from this number, then you need to go that one more level down. If it says from that number, go one more level down until you find the actual root of the word. So it says from an unused root, which is funny. I love when they say unused root when they're actually using it as a reference for the root. Apparently meaning to shake as the head. But if you go over to using the same letters, you can see that this is the same root, and it says it's Chaldee, which is Babylonian, meaning the head. Well, if you look at this one, 7218, it's Resh, Aleph, Shin. And if you go to this one, it's Resh, Aleph, Shin. So it means the head. And then if you go to the ancient Hebrew, this is another dictionary that is available if you request it from me. This is called the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. I don't like the term Bible, but we won't get into that right now. All right, so resh, right here, resh shin, is the root of that word. The pictograph, this, which is obviously a man's head, is a picture of the head. The head of the tribe or chief or the family, the father, is passed from generation to generation. The head grants permission to the betrothal of his daughters and determines inheritor of the tribe or family. The head of the person, place, thing, or time. So if you look down here, this is that root that we were looking at, the 3-letter root right here. Resh, Aleph, Shin, which means head. Head, which is top of the body, or the top of time, supposedly. And that works, but I think that it works even better if this is a root, the first 3 letters. Whoops, sorry. By the way, because the font is right to left and left to right, it causes issues when I'm trying to select, so sorry about that.
Yeah.
So if this 3 letters and this 3 letters are the same definition, then I can go to this one, and you'll see that it means family of heads, that it's food for both man and livestock, and it also means to make fat, and that is the true meaning of the word creation. So like if you go down here for bet resh aleph, is what we're looking at here, it means to fill or to fatten. So creation is about filling the earth. Okay, so if you use that root word, and then down here, if you look at my notes, this is just Jack's view. In fact, I call it in Jack's eyes. That's what I call my version. So I use these two as the example. Let's see if I can change the font size here so you can see it. So if you go over here to the dictionary, I'm going to go over to Strong's. Come on, load. And of course it's going to buffer because everybody's watching. And then I'm going to type in this number right here. This one we already have, that resh aleph. But this one is going to be 7896. Now what these numbers are, H stands for Hebrew, and 7896 is like in a dictionary. This is the 7,896th word translated by Strong's using the Hebrew alphabet in order. Okay, so this Shin, Yod, Tav is the same as these 3 characters right here, Shin, Yod, Tav. And that means to place. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to the ancient Hebrew for this root, they will say to sit or buttocks. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So the Tav is the last letter of the alphabet, and the Shin is used for two or to split, which this is actually 2 ends, or the buttocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also means to set into place, to establish, for a foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I translated Bereshit, the first word, instead of in the beginning, to creation establishment.
Creation establishment.
Yeah. Now,
I like that.
It doesn't have a shun or a ment on it, which is why I have these in parentheses. And people also need to know this, that when they're reading King James or any other version, if you see words in parentheses or brackets, most of the time it's the translator that added words into their translation. And they don't let you know this ahead of time. Now, back in the day, when you got a Bible, you could read the introduction to the Bible, and they would tell you if stuff is italicized, it means this. If it's bracketed, it means this. If it's parentheses, it means this. And they don't even tell you that, and to know that if there's text that looks different within the context of the translation, it's usually because they have their own interpretation or context added into the scripture. Okay? So if you want to I guess we could go back to your screen and we could read the first verse, and then I'll just read my version after the scriptures version.
Okay.
And then if anything like jumps out at you that you want me to go deeper into to show how I got what I got, then we can do that.
Okay. Do you just want to? I'll just start reading, and then what you stop me whenever.
Yeah, we can do one verse at a time, or we could do a few verses at a time. However you want to do it, whatever makes you.
Well, okay. Well, let's do a few. Okay. So, all right. So the creation of the world, the first verse, Genesis 1, verse 1.
Oh, let me jump in there. Sorry, I'm already jumping in, but
yeah, it's okay.
The part where it says the creation of the world at the top, that title was added later. It wasn't in the original text.
Okay.
Right? It's just
Did it have a title?
It did not.
It just said blah.
It just started.
It just said creation establishment.
Exactly.
All right. In the beginning, Elohiym created the heavens and the earth. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohiym was moving on the face of the waters. Okay,
so let me jump in here already. So spirit, people need to know, it is this word ruach, which means I translate it as the moving unseen existences. And what I mean by that is it's translated in Hebrew into English as spirit, wind, breath, or acting in character, okay? And it is the action of the word translated as heavens. And the word translated as heavens, Shemayim, actually is translated by me as the unseen existences. Number one, it's plural, which they actually did a good job in the scriptures version where it says heavens with an S.
Mm-hmm.
And earth is the physical realm. The eretz is the tangible plane. So the heavens would be like anything from air, frequency, vibration, magnetism, electricity. All these things are in what's called heavens, Shemayim. Now,
yeah, okay.
Yes. So the way that I explain it to people in my, I have little notes in the bottom of my translation. The Shemayim has been translated as the heavens or in the sky. How far down does it go? And what I mean by that is if I ask people where the sky is, everybody points up.
Right.
But the sky is just air, which goes all the way down to the physical plane, to the ground.
Right.
And I say, consider Shemayim as spaces or the unseen existence all around. The eretz as the surface or the seen, tangible existence. And Elohiym is also plural. That's why it ends in im. And I say that...
Elohiym. This is something that I like to point out because plural of the gods in ordinary sense, but specifically used in the plural, thus especially with the article of the supreme God, occasionally applied by way of deference to magistrates, sometimes as superlative, angels exceeding God or gods, goddess.
Yes. So this is where it becomes problematic, is when they saw it plural, they invented this term called majestic plural. In other words, he's so big, we have to pluralize him. Okay?
Right.
But in reality, there's nothing that alludes to that fact that, there's nothing in the scriptures that says he's called plural because he's so big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as Elohiym goes, Elohim can be used as mighty ones, whether referring to physical or, etheric, either one. Mm-hmm. So in the term of, for instance, Elohim was used to talk about the judges after Joshua. They're called the Elohim. So Elohim can be mighty men just as much as mighty other deities. So what I put for Elohim is Elohim may be a collective consciousness of righteousness of Yehovah, that's the creator, eternally existing as one, echad, rather than the previously explained majestic plural. And then I put Elohiym created many Shemayim, and outer space is never spoken of.
Right.
So there's my little flat Earth plug, in my translation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was these notes, just to let everybody know, I did not create this version for other people. This was my own journey of trying to read the scriptures without a pre-understanding of my religious upbringing, which is why it took me over a year to translate just the first chapter. Because whenever I came to a word, like when I came to the word heavens, I would just automatically wrote down heavens, and I'm like, wait, how do I know it means heavens? But then when I see the root word, Shem is used as all different types of forms of unseen existence. Like the Shin Mem is used for name, like literally name. It's used for there, in that place. It's used for to the west over there, and it's also used to describe someone's characteristic. So that's his Shem, that's his characteristic, such things like this. So they're describing all these unseen existences. So I just clearly put, okay, unseen existences, because everywhere where the Shem root fits an unseen existence is what it's describing. So that's why I call it the unseen existences. And that's why I say everything that is involved in what we don't see, and I don't believe in bouncing, spinning, orbiting balls on the macro or the micro. So when people talk about magnetism, yes, they can describe what magnetism does, and it's always consistent and it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
What actually it is, nobody really knows, right? It's just a force that exists in our unseen existence.
Right.
Thing with electricity. The only time that you see electricity is when you condense it into a small area, then you will see arcing, which is why electricity is a metaphysical entity, because it's unseen, but then you can condense it to be seen. It's the same thing with air. If you condense air, what does it turn into? A fluid state, right?
Right.
So, all these things, the Shemayim is the unseen existences, but if you compress the Shemayim, it becomes physical, which is very interesting, right?
That is interesting.
So that has a lot more, it has a deeper understanding than just saying created the heavens and the earth. People think heaven is a place that you go when you die, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been explained in religion, but that's not how it's explained in Scripture. In the case of the New Testament guy, who some call Jesus, his real name's Yeshua, he said the kingdom of heaven is at hand and the kingdom of heaven is in you. And every time you breathe, you're breathing in heaven and you're breathing out heaven.
Right.
Okay. So
Nice.
deep is another one that gets pretty interesting.
And which one is that? Deep. Where
It
am
says the darkness
deep.
was over the face of the deep. That word deep is to home. Now, home is a chaotic sound. So like when it talks about, and we're going to get to there later, but when it talks about the beasts of the field, they call them beasts because it literally translates as the growlers, or the chaotic sound makers, because they don't speak with, voices that we understand. They do growling and grunting and screeching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Tehom actually is, it appears to be, if I can extrapolate from the different incidences it shows up throughout Scripture, it appears to be a controlled chaotic element, and its location is hard to tell. Like, if you read it this way, the spirit of Elohiym going over the face of the deep, the darkness over the face of the deep, but the spirit of the Elohiym moving over the face of the waters, when it's separated waters from waters, we don't really know where that quote-unquote deep is. And I assume that it's the waters above, because there's verses like in Psalms where it talks about the Tehom and it's talking about the windows of heaven opening up from the Tehom. Well, that would be above, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this may be that very dense, fluid state that's in the sky, maybe, possibly. I'm extrapolating because I've never tested it. You know, I don't know what's up there. But it seems to be that, you know, if you look at the sky, it is a controlled chaos. It's a ever-moving, but it seems like it's a frequency generating, you know, light emitting, but it's also controlled. Cool?
Right. Cool.
All right. So now we're on to verse 3.
All right. And Elohim said, "Let light come to be," and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day.
Okay. So now we're going to have this whole... All right. First of all, light is the word or, which is a cool word, or. But come to be is like the English way of dragging one word out to be 3 words, okay? It actually is, like I use the word exist, because past, present, future, exist is exist, okay? So it actually says in the Hebrew, which I guess you could pull that up. You have it up here. Okay. I gotta look at your screen now. Okay. So it says Vahi or. So that's on the bottom line underneath Gen 1:3. Vahi. Yep. Vahi means exist, and or means light. Okay. So Vahi or. So I say light exists, and light exists. Now, why isn't it exist light? Because in Hebrew, it's kind of like Spanish, where their sentences are built different than ours. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll have their verb at the end of a sentence, where we have the verb in the middle of a sentence.
Right.
So the he or is exist light, but we would say light exists. You know, just because that's the way we talk. And so if you look at the next verse, Elohim saw the light and saw that it was good. Well, that word is tov. And if you go to the number after good and click the number, which is the 2896, down 1.
Here we go. Okay.
Yep. Click that one and pull it up. And you already have ancient Hebrew open.
Mm-hmm.
So the pictographic is a basket used to contain or surround something. And that's a tent. Floor plan is a tent or a house. Combine these means surround the house. The house is surrounded by grace, beauty, love, health, prosperity, something that is functional. So whenever you see the word good in Hebrew, it literally means functions. Okay, so it's function.
Ah.
So the difference between good and evil is functional and dysfunctional.
I love that.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if something evil, that means it's not functioning the way that it was created to be. It's not doing its job.
It's dysfunctional. That totally makes sense.
Yes. So I could mention some evil things that are dysfunctional, but I don't want to trigger people. Okay?
Right.
But there are things where if the Creator gave us instructions on how to live a longer, happier, more prosperous life, He's saying, okay, I'm the one who made everything. This is how you use these things. If you don't use them that way, they may work for you, but they're not going to work in the way that I created them to work. Right?
Right.
And that includes the individual. If He created you to do some kind of purpose and you're not walking in that purpose, then you're dysfunctional. You're outside of what He intended you to be.
Right.
And we have that choice. Right.
Right.
So let's go back to, let's see, Okay, so in the end of 1:4, it says Elohim separated the light from the darkness. Now that's important because it's not it's not just a distinction, it's a literal separation. Light has one purpose, darkness has another, right?
Right.
It's not, darkness is not the absence of light, even though that's how we would explain it scientifically,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
But darkness and light can coexist. And what I mean by that is like dawn and dusk are coexisting lightness and darkness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have the darkness coming in and the light leaving, you know.
Right.
So Genesis 1:5, Elohiym called the light day. No, he did not. And what I mean by that is if it says Elohiym called, if I say I call you Bobby because I translate Karen into Bobby, that's not true.
Right.
You have a term, you have a name, you have a function as Karen. So if he called it something, why would we translate it instead of transliterate it? So go back to the HSB and go down to, actually go to HSB 4, I think. Sorry. Nope, 5. I always get those confused. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay. This way that it's a little more condensed where it doesn't have all the numbers, right?
Okay.
So if you look down there, where were we at? Verse 5. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see the blue where it says called and God, the light, where it says day, if you look to the left of day, you'll see the English. That's what he called the light. Yom.
Yom.
So the light part of what we call day, and we're going to get into that day thing because me and you have had this conversation before. The light part is called Yom. And then if you go down below where it says the darkness he called night,
Mm-hmm.
it's not night, it's Lila. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the light he calls Yom and the darkness he calls Lila. Now, Karen, I know you already know the answer, but give me the answer that you gave me the first time. What is a day in English?
A day in English is a whole day, 24 hours.
Correct. What is daytime? If I say the daytime and the nighttime, what is daytime?
When the sun's out.
Right. The light part of the day. So that's where English confuses us, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use the same term day to mean the daylight hours or 24-hour period, which confuses us when we read scriptures. When it says Yom, it is specifically the light. Because he called the light Yom. And the
Right.
darkness he called Lila. All right, now, where it says morning, morning is not a good translation. It is, let's see, I'm changing translations on my screen to look it up, sorry. So you can go ahead and click the number. Okay, so go back to HSB and click the number for morning.
Okay, now I gotta find it.
If it says
Waters in the
oh.
midst. Oh, here we go. The light.
Where it says morning.
Morning, morning, morning.
It is, oh my gosh, where's the number?
Be separated.
1242. It's towards the end. It says there was evening and there was morning.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Sorry.
That's
It's so hard to read. This is part of the confusion, though, because look, I'm sitting here trying to read left to right and right to left at the same time, and it's
That's correct.
extremely
That's correct.
difficult.
So I mean, let me just clarify it for you one more time, right?
Mhm.
So if you have the English, if you look to the left, that's the number for the definition.
Okay.
All right.
English, and then to the left is the definition.
Correct. Because it starts on the right with Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
then translation, then transliteration or the sound of, then the number.
Okay.
All right. So go Did we? Yeah, okay. So you got pulled up on the right there. So breaking open of the ground with the plow pulled by oxen. Well, what the hell does that have to do with morning? Well, because breaking is the breaking of daylight. If you look down below where it says morning, it says breaking of daylight. Okay?
Okay.
Now, if you go to the Strongs instead of ancient Hebrew, they have properly dawn as the break of day, generally morning. Now click the 1239 because it's from that root. What's the root?
Bakar,
Right? Which is what?
to plow. A primitive root, properly to plow or break forth.
Yeah, you get it? So it changes it. When we think of morning, we think, this is the daylight hours. No, it's not. It's actually the breaking forth of light. So this is the obvious light. This is the sun all the way in, not just any time that's light. Go to DBD now, or the other dictionary, Brown Driver Briggs or whatever it is. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see it's to seek, to inquire, to consider, to reflect. So this is seen light. Okay, the seen breaking forth light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it literally means, which is different than morning, because morning we think of the first couple hours after dawn, right? But it's the seen, it's the light that you seek, or the light that reflects, right? So this is seen light. This is not just a couple hours after dawn. Now we're going to go back to a rev, which is in the evening, in 1.5. Go to the left.
Evening.
Yep. Okay, now there's some interesting things here because it says evening, night, and sunset. Let's go to the Strongs. Dusk. From what? From 6150.
Yeah.
Yep.
From, okay, here we go, the next one. From Arab. Covering with texture to grow dusky at sundown, so toward the evening. So that would be specifically daytime turning into nighttime, right?
Yes, but I say it goes both ways. This is what we would call twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you click rather identical with, click on that one, because this is what you have to do to study. You got to go deep into the
Mm-hmm.
it comes from this word, which comes from this word, which comes from this word.
Mm-hmm.
It's to intermingle, to mix. Okay? So this is the time of the day where darkness is mixed with light.
Ah.
Not only is it dusk or sunset, it could also be dawn. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go to 1.5 again.
1.5.
Yeah, click on Genesis 1.5. Click the green on the right-hand side. There you go. Now change it to the Scriptures version because it'll keep the verse highlighted now, so you know where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to read this again the way that I interpret it, okay?
Okay.
And Elohiym called the light Yom, and the darkness he called Lila, and there came to be twilight, mingling of darkness and light, and there came to be the seen light one day. Now that changes it because there's this whole thing that was started by the Jews that a day starts at sunset because of this verse. But in reality, if it's twilight and seen light, that is the light part of the day. It's the mingling, which is dawn and dusk,
Mm-hmm.
and the light in between. The breaking forth, seen, reflective light. So that changes it, because if he called the light Yom, and he called the dark night, and he separated them, why would he just push them back together and call them a day again? It's not true.
Right.
What happened was the Creator, when he created things and he called light into existence, all the work that Elohiym did was during the light hours. He didn't do any work during the darkness when he separated the two. Okay?
Okay.
Because day means what? Yom means what?
Daylight.
Right,
Daytime.
because it says he called the light yom. So 1 yom is 1 light period. Now, see, you're never going to see this in English. You have to dig deep to see what these words actually mean, what the root of them are. And it changes the perspective so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had translated this verse, and I was still doing the sunset beginning of the day just because that's what I believed it to be. And then a friend of mine, who studies scripture like I do, he's like, why do you believe the day starts at sunset? And I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Because I knew what he was doing. He's like, why do you believe this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your evidence for that? He didn't have to say all that. He just says, why do you start the day at sunset? And so what I did is I went through and we're not going to do this right now because it would take forever, but I went through the entirety of scriptures, looked up day, night, evening, morning, tomorrow, yesterday, all the words that refer to day times. And what I found is in so many incidences, it's impossible for a day to begin at sunset. Impossible. It's only daylight hours where Yom refers to. So, and that's not all the cases. Some of the cases you might be able to argue, this could be sunset, but there's many cases where it's impossible that Yom is literally the light part of the day. Okay, we can go to 1:6 now.
All right.
I told you that those couple of verses right there changed a lot of stuff for me, so I had to go into it.
Well, yeah, and also too, here's the other thing. Here, where this is one thing that really got me interested in wanting to read this this way, is because here, where it says, "And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the deep," and then you go and you look what spirit means. Wind, resemblance, breath,
Yep.
Exhalation, figuratively, life.
Yep.
To me, that's the ether. When I read that, I was like, wow, that they talk about the ether. That's the ether.
Exactly. And anger, the reason that anger is there is because when you get pissed off, what happens? You start breathing heavier.
Right.
You start trying to take in and push out more spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Air,
then,
anger, blast, breath, courage, mind,
and then they get
spirit.
into religious belief right here. Unsubstantially, by extension, a region of the sky. Okay,
Right.
well, if it's unsubstained, then why are you mentioning it?
Yeah. Unsubstantiality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now, this is going to be important later. This Shemayim and Ruach, right? Ruach is the unseen existence in action, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about that, it makes sense to you, yeah?
Yeah.
Because Ruach, I mean, if air is there, it's not wind until what?
Until something happens, it moves until something acts upon
Whether
it.
it's by pressure mediation or
Pressure
electricity
mediation,
or
temperature, hot,
Yeah.
cold, all that stuff.
So as soon as it becomes action, it becomes Ruach. Shemayim is the I would say Shemayim is the ether, and Ruach is when the ether gets activated. You
Is
understand?
when there are field perturbations
Yes. In the
Okay.
Shemayim, yes.
in the
So
Shemayim. Okay.
whenever people say ether now, I say, oh, you mean Shemayim. Because that is what the creator called it. So that's what I call it, All right. Now, let me get into a little bit of etheric stuff right now and piss some religious people off. Okay?
Yeah, buddy.
So if people say that when you die, you become eternal, yeah, people
Mhm.
say that in the Christian faith, right? They become eternal. What does eternity mean? Does eternity mean from now on? Or does it mean always has been, always will be? Because what I believe is that when you become collectively conscious with Elohiym, which is the collection known as Yehovah, then you could be part of that quote-unquote Elohiym spoken of in Genesis 1. In other words, you could be part of that build in the beginning, in the future tense.
Mm-hmm.
Because because when you're not in the future tense, but in the non-time tense, right?
Right.
Because in the spiritual realm, you're not bounded by time. Time is something that we observe here in the physical realm.
Right. Time is a unit of measure that man has put on whatever.
Right. On the other side, though, I say that when you become eternal with Yehovah, you won't always exist from then on. You will have always existed. And by extension, if you choose not to get with the Creator, then you cease to exist. And the Creator's name literally means existence. It's a compound word which means that which is, that which was, that which will be. He is existence. Now, some people in different belief systems will say source. Well, source is not that far from existence. And the problem with source is that that was conjured up in the idea that the universe is ever expanding infinitesimal vacuum of nothingness. Where I say all of existence is right here. We're it. We're in it. We're part of it. You know, we're all in existence. We're in the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
And the Creator is all around. It's in everything. But we have the ability to be dysfunctional within the Creator. Just like parts of our body sometimes become dysfunctional because it's not lining up the way it's supposed to be. So sickness is evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not literally, like not in the way that other people translate it, but it's dysfunctional. Sickness is your body not working the way it's supposed to be. And when I started creating, when I started like learning about all this stuff, and I started trying to use my connection with the Creator and started to communicate with nature, let's say, that there was a friend of mine who had been sick, and there was a typical way that I would pray for somebody who was sick, but the Creator stopped me. And he says, no, don't pray that way, pray this way. And what he told me to say is, Father, help him to be restored the way that you created him to be, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, put him back into function.
Right.
Right. And that, if you think about it that way, it makes perfect sense, because your body, if it's functioning correctly, will fight off anything that comes against it.
Right.
Your body has the natural ability to do that. But if you tell yourself, I'm sick, you know, like I'll say I have symptoms, but I won't say I'm sick. Mm-hmm. Because saying you're sick already defeats you as a spirit.
Yes.
Your spirit comes on a lower frequency, so the sickness can run rampant. You become dysfunctional. You become evil. I hate to say it, but if you're talking negatively about yourself and your functionality, you're causing evil to exist in your body.
I agree with that. That's why I started telling people who say these things, you know, oh, this bad stuff's going to happen. I'm like, hey, listen, careful what you manifest, because you know, this is another reason that we think that we can learn from reading this, is that, you know, we were created in the image of the Elohiym. And so by that, we are also co-creators in this realm, and exactly. We can speak things into existence, especially as it pertains to the self.
Yes. And as far as that goes, when you connect with the Creator, then you have the desire to walk in your function, which it's more effective for you to manifest things, for you to be the co-creator, to say, this is going to be in my function, I need it to happen, and it happens, you know. Also, so we go back to KJV for a moment. Now in here it says God, 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 mm-hmm. right? So what I'm going to do is, over there where it says Strong's, instead of H7307, change that to 1408. Oh, you still got a 7 in there. Yep. There you go. All right. Now, what does that say?
It says, God, a variation of H1409, fortune, a Babylonian deity.
Okay, now go to 1409. And what is the phonetic?
God.
Yep. in the sense of distributing a fortune or troop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that troop definition at all, but we're not going to get into that.
I don't understand the troop part. That's weird.
So they say, like, you know, if you collect money, that's fortune. Well, troop is allegedly a collection of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can go ahead and look at the root of that.
Good. Good.
To crowd, to
To
gather.
crowd upon. That is attack, invade, overcome.
Right. So if you keep going down this rabbit hole, you'll see this is about wealth and greed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it say on our money?
In God
what-
we trust.
Yes. So the Catholics, when they were choosing what to call the name of their deity, they chose God, which is the prosperity deity of Babylon. So that's why I don't use God.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the Scriptures version. We can start reading from 1:6.
Okay.
That's why I prefer the Scriptures version. And if you look up King James Version with the Strong's number and you click on where, actually, let's do that. Let's go to KJV plus,
All right.
just to prove I'm not just making stuff up.
Right.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Click the number right after God.
Elohiym.
Elohiym, there you go, right there. Boom, done.
Plural.
Why do we change it to God? Right? Why can't we just transliterate it? Right? If the title is already existing as Elohiym, why can't we just write it out in English as Elohim?
Yeah, why do they have to change it from Elohim to God?
Exactly. And do the same thing with his name. Okay?
Mhm.
Let's go to, I know we're going to jump around a little bit, but we'll go back to 1:6 when we get there. Go back to Genesis 2.
Okay.
Not 1:2, the chapter 2.
Oh,
Sorry.
Genesis 1, 2. Okay.
Use the Bible.
Hold on.
thingy.
Hold on.
There you go.
All right.
Now, where it says Lord, capital Lord, like in verse 4,
Here.
it's like that number.
Yehovah.
There it is. And what does his mean? What does his name mean? Existence.
Self-existent or eternal.
Hello. I'm not making stuff up. This is the stuff that I found out because I decided, okay, I'm not going to trust my pastor to tell me the truth anymore. The more stuff that I found out about Scripture, I shared it with my pastor, and he says, oh yeah, I know all about that. I'm like, what? You knew that they took out his name 6,828 times and replaced it with the Lord? You knew this? Why wouldn't you share this with the assembly? And I also was learning about the what they call the Feast of the Lord in the King James Version,
Mhm.
the set-apart times of the Creator. And I was talking to him about this, and he says, oh, yeah, I know all about it. I'm like, okay, can I do a teaching? Because I was being trained as a pastor. I was literally a week away from being a pastor when the Creator called me out and says, you're doing it wrong, okay? A week away. And my first sermon, I asked him if I could teach about the truth about Christmas and Easter. And he says, well, Jack, the congregation doesn't accept that message well, so we don't teach it. And I was screaming in my head, what the hell is the purpose of the pastor if not to teach the truth?
Right.
And the fact of the matter is their purpose is to keep the religion going. And some may say, well, he has to answer to higher ups, but this was a non-denominational church. He had no one above him. But yet he still kept the status quo of Christianity and kept his 501c3, which is a religious tax exemption,
Mm-hmm.
because he refuses to teach against Christmas and Easter. Now, Christmas and Easter are important to know about because if you believe that Christmas and Easter are stories to tell about your Messiah, Jesus, Yeshua, then you're badly mistaken because it was adopted by the Catholic Church when Christmas was the time that they would sacrifice children to the sun god on December 25th, the winter solstice, to bring the sun back to life. And Easter is the bare-breasted sex goddess who gave birth to the sun god, who came into a Euphrates River on Easter sunrise morning, right? This is the vernal equinox first sunrise. And she came to the Euphrates River in a giant egg and turn a bird into an egg-laying rabbit to show her divinity. And she's all about fertility, which is why you dye eggs in the blood of, so you impregnate virgins on Easter, and then a year later, when they're 3 or 4 months old, you would drain the blood into a basin and dye eggs. So if that's what you want to believe, if you want to stay with religion and all this freaking adopted child sacrifice orgy bullcrap, feel free, but I'll have no part in it anymore.
Right? Exactly.
All right, so go back to the scriptures 1:5.
Okay.
Go ahead. Say what you're saying.
All right. Scriptures. Oops, I got to go back now. Or where are we at? 1:5 or 1:6?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Say what you were going to say about finding about Christmas and Easter.
Oh, that's why Easter is not always on the same day, because it's got nothing to do with, this with Jesus coming back from the dead or his resurrection, because if it did, it would always be on the same day. It makes no sense to have it the first Sunday after the first full moon after, it's all based on the sky clock and some ritual. It's got nothing to do with.
Well, it's the first Sunday after the vernal equinox at sunrise.
That's right. The first Sunday after the equinox. That's what it is.
Yes. Okay. 1:6. Go ahead, read.
Okay, 1:6. And Elohiym said, "Let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And Elohiym made the expanse, and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it came to be so. And Elohiym called the expanse heavens, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the second day."
All right. So as you're reading this, in my head, I'm screaming, ah, ah, right? Okay, so expanse is obviously a bad translation, and we know that this is because when the translator, he was going with a new King James Version where...
so that's in place of the firmament, the word the firmament, right?
And the reason being is because, people had talked about outer space, and so they couldn't agree that there was a hard ceiling, so they had to invent this term expanse. But what is expanse? Go ahead, read it.
Properly expanse, that is the firmament. Or
so right there, it starts wrong by saying properly an expanse. I'm saying bullshit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the firmament, or apparently visible arch of the sky.
Okay, now go to DBD.
Extended surface, solid expanse, firmament.
Extended surface, solid.
Right.
Oh, okay, keep going.
Expanse, flat as base or support, or firmament, of vault of heaven supporting waters above.
Keep going.
Considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting waters above.
Man, good job, BDB. You did way better than Strong's. Okay, go to Ancient Hebrew now.
All right.
Oh, that changes things. Keep going.
Yeah, okay, so hammer or sheet, the pounding of metals such as gold with a hammer to flatten it out for a metal sheet. Hammer, to beat with a hammer or flatten out. Spread, stamp, stretch, beat, broad.
Yep. As hammered out flat, as hammered out flat. Wait a second. Wait a second. How do you hammer out an expanse? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can't hammer out an expanse. So if you go back to Strong's and then click the root.
A primitive root, to pound the earth as a sign of passion, by analogy to expand by hammering, by implication to overlay with thin sheets of metal, beat, make broad, spread abroad, stamp, stretch.
Right. So here we're talking about beating it out, right? Beating the ground, beating it out, right? Go to the BDB of that same number.
Okay, to beat, stamp, beat out, spread out, stretch. One who beats out. It's just saying all the same stuff, right? To beat
To
out,
overlay. To overlay.
overlay.
Yeah, so this term is what they used to do, like the pieces of the plate armor is called rakia as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or raka, but it's the same root. So what this is it's a beaten out overlay. So I translate it as beaten out overlay, right? Or hammered out, or, flattened out. It's the same thing. It's like, it has nothing to do with an expanse. It makes no sense as an expanse.
Right.
All right, go back to Scripture's version again. Sorry, we're going back and forth, but you miss things if you don't see it in both sides,
Right. That's why we're doing it this way, because you have to go back and forth and see where, because these tiny little changes is where the deceptions come from, where the confusion comes from.
Exactly. So where it says, and it came to be so, that word so is affirmative or yes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not just so, but affirmative or yes. In verse 1:8, it says, he called the expanse heavens. Okay, so we already know expanse is not expanse, it's rakia, firmament, beat overlay.
Mm-hmm.
But it says he called the expanse heavens. I'm calling BS again. Because what is heavens is the unseen existences, right? The Shemayim.
Right.
Well, that doesn't make sense if the firmament is the Shemayim. So now we have to look at Hebrew. So go to HSB. But it says right there, they called rakia heavens. No, sorry. Now, if you look at where it says the firmament, if you look at the definition, the letters that are the word is the resh, kof, yod, ayin, but not the first letter, right? The first letter is a prefix. Guess what that prefix is? Unto.
Unto.
Or in this case, up to.
Up to. Okay.
It's the word to. It's to or toward something.
Okay.
Okay. Now go back to Scripture's version. And remember, the word to has been taken out. And he called the beaten out overlay. No, he called up to the beaten out overlay heavens. He didn't call the beaten out overlay heavens. He called up to the beaten out overlay heavens.
So
because
from where we are up to the expanse,
exactly.
up to the firmament is
firmament. Yes, not expanse. Humbug.
Right. I know in their terms.
Okay. So now go to 1:9. Go ahead.
Okay. And Elohiym said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it came to be so.
Got to stop already.
All right.
Okay. Go to KJV Plus.
All right.
Okay. So if you look at where it says dry land, is there something weird there?
Yeah, land is in italics.
Uh-huh. And where's the number for land?
Is this it right here?
Oh, that's dry.
That's dry. So there's no number for land.
Exactly, because that word does not exist in the Hebrew at all. There is a word for land, but there is no word land in this verse. So why does that matter? It will matter when we get up to another verse. But here's an exact representation of what I was talking about. If you see anything italicized, quotations, parentheses, anything like that, brackets, you need to look it up. You need to figure out why that's like that. So go to KJV regular, and you'll see it's not just the plus version.
Yeah. Here.
Yep. Okay, and if you look in the next verse, it's there also. Yes, okay. Now go back to the Scriptures version. See, Scripture should have italicized the stuff that was italicized in KJV. I think they screwed up there. I also think they screwed up by calling it expanse. There is no perfect version out there, people.
You're right. There is no perfect version. But this is why we're doing this, so we can teach people how to find out what it really says and means.
You have to look at different versions to see, okay, why is there inconsistencies between these two versions? It's because one is looking at it from one perspective, another one's looking at it from another perspective, but then when you read it in Hebrew from the root version, it's a completely different perspective. you have to understand that the Greeks took over as the way to determine things. The Greek way of thinking is by description of adjectives, right? Descriptive words.
Mm-hmm.
But in Hebrew, all the words are verb, action words. Okay? So, like, if I was to ask you, what is a pencil? Can you tell me about a pencil? You would say, well, it's long, it's yellow, it's got a, rubber eraser on the end, da-da-da-da. But if you were asking a Hebrew what a pencil was, it would be the erasable thing you write with, right? You would describe the action of it, not the description of it. So this is the different philosophies between the Greek and the Hebrew, okay? And of course the Greek took over, right? They've been rolling this place for a while,
Right?
or Roman by extension, but you get. So it says, "Let the waters under the." Okay, so let's go. I'm going to read verse 1:8 again. Don't click it. Elohiym called the. Okay, you clicked it.
Sorry.
That's it. Clicked it. We're done. Game over. Okay, no. Elohiym called the expanse heavens. No, Elohiym called up to the Rakia Shemayim. Right? If he called it Shemayim, I'm calling it Shemayim. If he called it Rakia, I'm calling it Rakia. Okay?
So, right. Word.
Now, we can get some context of what Rakia means and what Shemayim means, but yeah. Anyway. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, second day. Now, if you remember, evening is twilights, and morning is breaking scene light. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, and there came to be the mingled with darkness, and there came to be the scene light, second day. All right? So we just want to keep reiterating that so people get a different context than evening and morning. Okay? Go ahead. You can read now.
All right. Okay. Did I read 1:9 yet? And Elohim said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." And it became to be so.
Okay, so remember to read it without land. So now it's let the dry appear.
Let the dry appear.
Okay, so there was no dry before this time. Do you understand?
So it's like everything was a fluid. Everything was
exactly
a fluid. Almost just like a baby in the womb, huh?
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to get really ethereal, and this is why Bob likes talking to me about Bible stuff, okay?
That's why I like talking to you about Bible stuff, because it makes way more sense.
It's talking about matter in the three stages. Because first it's Shemayim, the unseen existences, and then when it's compressed, it's what? It's fluid.
Right.
It's liquid.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it's compressed, then what? Then it's a solid.
Then it's a solid.
Then it's a dry. Now a dry can appear. Okay?
Right.
So, I mean, even if you look at it when you freeze water, right? By freezing water, you're compressing it into a more solid state.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's wet only because it melts on your fingers, but the ice itself is dry.
Right.
It's dry. The dry has appeared.
Mm-hmm.
So this is talking about the three matter states right here. He's saying, let the dry appear. Now he's changing the frequency of the fluid to become a solid. This is let the dry appear. Okay, continue.
Okay. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of the waters he called seas, and Elohim saw that it was good.
Okay, so the word called is important there, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at 1:8, it says he called up to the firmament Shemayim, but there it says heavens, right? In 1:8.
Okay.
See, it says called.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't call it heavens. He called it Shemayim. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he called the land what? Let's find out.
I don't know. What did he call the land?
Let's find out. Change it to a different version where you can find out.
Okay. Which version? HSB?
Pick one. HSV, KJV plus, anything that has the numbers with it, so you can look at the dictionary.
Okay, this has the numbers. And he called the land earth. Right? So to the left.
But it's already transliterated for you there in the gray. Yeah?
Eretz.
Yep. Look at the different definitions.
Land, earth.
Just scroll down. Just scroll down. All right? Now go to the Strong's version. to be firm, solid, the physical state of solidity.
There you
Okay?
go. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, they'll get into different definitions. Well, they'll talk about a different land, a different earth, a different territory, a different this, a different that. But it's the physical realm, period. Which the physical realm describes earth, the physical realm describes land, the physical realm describes territory, right? This is the physical realm.
Right.
It's the firmness of what? Well, it was fluid, now it's firm.
Yeah.
It says it right there, right? Now, again, this is not something that's just going to jump out with you in the scriptures. This is something where you have to dig in and see what it actually says. Okay, so he gathered the waters and called them what?
The seas.
Oh, not seas.
What did he call them? Yam.
Yam. And plural, it's yamim. Yamim.
I don't
So-
see that.
No, you can't see plural there. No.
Okay.
But if you look at it in the HSB or anything plural, I mean anything Hebrew, you'll see it says yamim.
But
Okay.
that's what makes it plural, right? Like in Elohiym, the
Yes, right.
the eem part.
Im and ot. One
Okay.
is feminine, one is masculine, but I don't get into that because people don't understand what feminine and masculine means either. So that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
Because the creator is neither feminine nor masculine either, which people get freaking cringy about it. Like, dude, like, why would he have to be a male or female? He's spirit. Spirit doesn't need a physical genitalia. I'm just saying, though. Okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes Yah is in the form of the motherly type, and sometimes he's in the form of the fatherly type.
But this
depending on
goes
the
back to
situation.
the seven hermetic principles of the universe, right? All things have feminine and masculine elements. All
Exactly.
things.
Exactly.
Where does that come from? Comes from the creator, right? Which would have feminine and masculine elements.
I mean, we all have X and Y chromosomes. It's just the female has more of one and the male has more of the other. You know, it's the same. You know, if we really think about, well, we're going to get into this in a future chapter. I'm not going to jump ahead. I'll stop. When it talks about Adam and Eve and stuff, it gets anyway. Yeah, let's go to the HSB, and you can see what he called the seas.
And you can see what he called the seas. Yes. Yeah.
So right next to it is what?
Yamim.
Okay, so plural, it's yamim, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I translate yamim, now I just call it yamim, but to understand what yamim means, it's the mayim, the mem, okay, the letter M, mem, means water, okay? And the yod means they will, okay, as a prefix. So it's basically saying they will water. And I say, well, isn't that interesting that he says the seas will water? You know, we now have this cycle where the seas produce water, and then it accumulates back, and, you know, we have rain and stuff.
Right.
But
The distillation process.
Exactly. It appears that it's a prophetic statement, like they will, future tense, water. Okay? So yamim, all right, now we can go back to Scripture's version. All right, and Elohim called the dry, no land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elohim called the dry Eretz, and the collections of water he called Yamim. And he saw that it was functional. It functions. It does its job.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Now go ahead and read 11, but now I'm going to challenge you. Everywhere where it says earth, I want you to think Eretz. All right?
Okay. Do you want me to say Eretz?
I want you to say Eretz.
Okay.
Let's cheat. Let's cheat. Go to 110 again and change it to, change it to a different version, and then pull up the definition for earth. That way you can see Eretz on the right-hand side. That way you can cheat. All right, now go back to the Strong's version. And then everywhere where it says earth, Remember to say eretz. So we're at verse 11.
Am I still leave out land?
You won't have to deal with that anymore. We're past that.
Okay.
We're on verse 11.
All right. And Elohim called the dry land Eretz. And the
No, he didn't say land. Get out of there.
I just said, do I leave land
No,
out?
I said we're on verse 11. We're not going to go through that verse again.
Oh. Okay.
But everywhere where it says earth from now on, now there's no quotation, so you have to just remember he called it Eretz, okay?
Okay. And Elohim said, let the Eretz bring forth grass, the plant that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the Eretz. And it came to be so.
Yes, it came to be yes. It came to be affirmative.
Came to be yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to read my version. And that was very good. Very good catches on the Eretz. Good job. See, this is what I want people to do. Instead of thinking ether, I would like people to say ether or Shemayim. That way it's in their head. Because I think frequency, vibration, and sound have something to do with it, right?
Right.
So I think when he calls it Eretz, it's for a reason. He calls it Shemayim, it's for a reason. So we're on verse 11. I have to pull up my notes here. All right. And they speak Elohiym, they sprout the Eretz, sprout herb from seed of seed, timber fruit, do fruit, to type his. Now it's saying that the tree is a him. Okay? But yet it's bringing forth fruit, so that's a feminine thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, I'm not going to get into it. That which seed his in his on the Eretz, and exists affirm. Elohim commanded the Eretz to produce rather than Elohim creating. Okay? He commanded the Eretz to bring forth the herb, to bring forth the seed, that brings forth the tree, that brings forth the fruit, that brings forth the seed. The earth has to be obedient for it to work. It has to be functional.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the earth was disobedient to the creator, and by the way, I think the earth itself, as we know it to be, it's life-bearing, ergo feminine, right? Like the earth is the producer,
Mm-hmm.
right? The seed is, well, that's anamorphic, isn't it? That's the earth producing the seed that fertilizes itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing right here is showing that it didn't say created the grass and created the plants. He said, Eretz, bring forth grass. And it doesn't say let. That's anglicized, right?
Mm-hmm.
He basically says, Ha'aretz, the Eretz, bring forth grass, and the tree that bears the seed, that bears the fruit, he's telling the earth what its job is to do. And it continuously is obedient to the creator, ergo it functions. Okay?
He's programming it.
He programmed the earth to do what it's supposed to do, yes. And I hate using that but that's a way that we can understand.
I know.
Right?
I don't like saying that either because a lot of people say, oh, we live in a simulation. But I like to use those words because...
Right.
because
it is a simulation, but it's a simulation of spirit and...
Right. It's not a simulation the way we think of a simulation.
We're not in a computer. Right.
It's the creator's creation, but you can still think about how things came about in those terms or how things work in those. I'm just trying to draw parallels between that.
Right. It would be like Yah is the computer, and we're everything inside of it are the programs that run it.
Mm-hmm.
Where the unseen existences, which is the functioning of the unseen existences, and the seen existence, which is a more solid state program. Yes, you can use these terms, but we're not actually in a computer. This is actually, we're emulating creation with computers. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Okay. Genesis 1:12.
Okay. And the Eretz brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. Functional. Saw
Yes.
that it was functional.
Very good. Now, when it talks about according to its kind, there's later commandments, which we'll get into someday, that says you don't mingle seeds, you don't cross-train one fruit to be a different fruit. So, like, if you ever look at a GMO apple, it does not produce seed after its own kind.
Right.
This is dysfunctional. This is evil. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So GMOs are disobedient to this command. It's, first of all, it's not the earth that brought it forth, it's man.
Right.
Second of all, it doesn't bear fruit after its own kind. Third of all, you can't plant the seed to get the tree to get the fruit. So GMOs are absolutely evil. Okay, go ahead. Verse 13.
Agreed. Okay. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the third day.
Okay, now I want you to retranslate that one verse.
Retranslate it.
I'm testing you. Yes.
Okay. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning.
What's evening?
Evening is Lila. Layla? Lila.
No. No, that's night.
That's night.
No,
So evening would be twilight.
Very good. And
Okay.
morning?
And morning, well, I guess that would be the break of day, right?
Seen light, yeah. Breaking day.
Seen
yeah.
late, breaking day.
Yep. Cool.
And
it's awesome.
okay. The
I'm
third
just messing
day.
with you. Yeah.
All right.
14. I keep forgetting we have an audience.
I
by the
know.
way.
That's okay. We
Look,
got
me and
it's pretty
Karen
good
have-
too that we got a lot of people watching, 78 people watching. Cheers, you
Yeah.
guys.
Me and Karen have had these conversations before. So I'm teasing her because we went over this stuff before. So just bear with us. We're just having a conversation and you're just listening in.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so, and Elohim said, "Let the lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times and for days and years."
And in my head going,
I know. So let the lights come to be in the firmament
yes,
of the heavens,
yes.
of the
Yeah,
of.
and the firmament, right?
Mm-hmm.
It actually does say in. What verse is that?
That's 114.
14? Okay, hold on one second. I'm pulling up my version real quick. All right.
In the firmament of the heaven.
Yeah, it says, and by the way, and they speak, Elohim, exist from lights. Now, it doesn't say light. It doesn't say, let there be lights. Is that what it says? Let there be lights, plural?
Well, okay, let me go back.
I go back to TS. Tell me what that says.
Let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens.
Okay, stop right there.
Mhm.
Let lights come to be is actually exist light sources or from lights. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in English, from light is backwards. It literally is lights from. Okay? So this would be what the light comes from, the light sources. Okay? So where it says let lights come to be, it actually says exist light sources. That's all it says. Exist light sources. Okay? In the overlay, the shamayim to the separated. Okay, so this is where commas would be helpful, like when we're translating it literally.
Mm-hmm.
Because it says exist from light sources in overlay, comma. The shamayim to the separated between the yom and between the lila. Okay, remember day and night, yom and lila,
Mm-hmm.
right? To markers and to appointments and to yamim, or yom plural, right? Yoms. And to the repeats, not years, but repeats, which we have multiple repeats, not just yearly ones. Right? We have these cycles in the sky, these repeats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
getting in. Okay.
I'm opening it up. So yeah, it goes down to duplicate, literally or figuratively. again, double, alter. Do a
Now, which
second
word?
time.
This is which word?
Shana.
Yeah, but which word did you click on?
I clicked on, I started at lights. No, wait, what did I start at? Hold on. I forget now.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to where you're at, for sure.
Yeah.
Signs or markers?
Let there be, I think I started here. Ha, yeah, okay. Let there be lights to exist.
Yep. That's what I just said, exist. That's the simplest way to say it, exist.
Okay.
Right? That which breathes. Oh, so you're saying maybe the earth breathes? Yeah, maybe. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in existence has its in existence. Everything lives and moves and has its being. That includes stationary objects like rocks. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know where I was at. I think I was looking at years.
Okay. So Shana as a revolution of time. So go to DBD or BDB or whatever it is. I think it's DBD.
BDB.
BDB. I always get that messed up. Sorry. Measure time, indication, a lifetime, years of life. Now go to the ancient Hebrew.
Sharp teeth.
Yeah, remember I said shin means to divide. This is the letter shin written out.
Okay.
It's a picture of teeth, which means to or to divide, right? If you use your teeth to cut something, it divides it.
Right.
And it's also a separation of two.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, noon, is a seed. Look at that picture of a seed and tell me what that looks like to you. Think about man's seed.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a little sperm.
Okay, so how do they know what a man's seed looked like if they didn't have,
If they didn't have microscopes?
Yeah, because every seed looks like that. Plant seeds, animal seeds, they all look the same.
That's true.
It's the seed of life. Noon means seed. So separation of the seed, okay, or teeth continue.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it continue? Because seeds reproduce after its own kind, which will produce seeds that reproduce after its own kind, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So keep going down. Piercing, rest. All right. Change and repeat. Okay, go back up. Up. Right there. Change and repeat. Shana. That's the root of years. To exchange for another and to repeat of time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a ongoing repeat thing, right? It's not just year. Because there's other places where it talks about the, what's the word for it? Hold on, I gotta think. Search my brain database. the mausal, okay, or the zodiac, right? It talks about the cycles of the Mazora or the mausal as the Shana. They're cycles, they're repeats. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of repeats, not just a yearly one. Yeah, there's like cycles where different quote unquote planets line up and, all these different things. So these repeats are what these lights are for.
Yeah. Eclipses are repeats.
Eclipses are repeats. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh,
All of these cycles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came to Flat Earth and I was watching a Dubé video and he mentioned that the sky looks like a clock, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it hit me so hard because when you get into the scriptures without, religion, you see that the whole calendar that the Creator created is based on the sky clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know this because we go by calendars which don't line up with the sky clock at all, ever,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like a month. A month is a lunar cycle, which is 29.538 days.
Mm-hmm. A
But
month.
they say 30 days, 31 days, and then people say, oh, well, it's actually 28 days because that's how long it takes to orbit. Well, screw orbits. Orbits is something we're programmed with.
Yeah,
The
orbits
actual
don't
light
exist.
Exactly. The actual light cycle like let's say from full moon to full moon, right,
Mm-hmm.
is 29.538 days. So that is a month. Sometimes it's 29 days, sometimes it's 30 days. And the way that the scriptures determines a month is at the renewing of the moon, or the first light of the moon. That's the beginning of the month. So the next morning, that would begin the month. Big old clock in the sky.
Yep.
Yo.
Big old clock in the sky.
All right, so like I said, it's not signs, seasons, days, and years. It's markers, which signs that works. Appointments,
Mm-hmm.
not seasons. That's a huge thing. Appointments, yom, plural, yomim,
Mm-hmm.
and the repeats. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is this? I'm trying to pull my. Okay. What is this appointed times that I love how the scriptures translated it appointed times, but KJV, it translates it as seasons. Okay? If you go, yep, seasons, there you go. And what's the word? Moed.
Mm-hmm.
Moed is properly what?
An appointment, a fixed time or season, specifically a festival.
Yep, conventionally in a year, by implication in assembly. Okay, so why didn't they put appointment there? Why did they put seasons? Because they don't want you to know there's appointments. Why? Because they replaced the appointments with Christmas, Easter, Sunday worship, all that stuff. There's actual appointments where the Creator says, if you take the time off at these specific times, I'm going to show up and be there with you. It's powerful stuff. When did these times happen? At every harvest season.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you look at even the, oh my gosh, what are they called? People who worship trees and stuff.
Wicca?
Wiccan, yeah. So even the Wiccans know that at harvest seasons there should be a celebration. Like it's remnant, it's left over from what the Creator told us that we should do at every harvest season, whether it be the spring or the fall or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That should be that. But I'll have to show you another time, and we will when we get to it. But there's only 2 seasons in Scripture, the early and the latter, which makes sense because you know how it's our winter and their summer
Yeah.
in the north and south?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just early and latter seasons.
Right.
Our early season is hot, their early season is cold, and vice versa. So spring to summer is one season, fall to winter is another. And it makes perfect sense with that whole track of the sun, the way that we understand the sun to be for seasons, right?
Right.
You get a time where it's crossing the equator towards you, then it hangs out on the inner circle, and that's one season. And then when it tracks out the other way and it hangs out there for a while, that's the other season, right? 2 seasons. That's it, not 4. Okay?
All right.
Go back to, go to Leviticus 23.
All right.
Yes, I know we're jumping around a lot. I'm sorry. We're still going to stay with
23 what? 1? The first one?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
We're still going to stay in the context, but I have to show you what these words mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it already titles it wrong in the beginning because it calls it Feasts of the Lord on the very top, right? But some of these are not feasts. Like, these are not all times to eat. In fact, one of the days is a day for self-inspection where you typically don't want to eat. You want to fast and get, you want to focus on yourself and the Creator and nothing else. So that's very interesting. But if you look at the word feast, click on the word feast.
All right. Where? Right here?
Yep. What's
Right.
that word? It didn't change because you're still on the same word.
Oh, Moed. I was
Yeah.
like, why
Oh.
didn't it change?
Because this is the word they translated as seasons in Genesis 1. So why didn't they change it to feasts in Genesis 1? Because they don't want you to look here. They don't want you to know this is a collection of the Moedim right here. Moedim, plural. Moed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to know about these appointed times that the Creator has established to meet with you. The first one being the Sabbath. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now go back to Genesis 1. I believe we're on 14, maybe 15 now.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Just another way to separate us.
Yeah, you miss the Creator's clock. You miss the Creator's appointments. You miss, I mean, look, from day and from night, you don't really have to pay attention to the sky to know day and night, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know when it's dark. You know when it's light.
Mm-hmm.
But the signs in the heavens, they're like, oh, don't worry about, like, you know, maybe like eclipses you can pay attention to, because those are great signs. But don't pay attention to the regular cycle of the sky, right? This is what they're basically telling you. When they translate it into English, they're having you not focus on the sky,
Mm-hmm.
right? In fact, in Christianity, or some Christian circles, tell you that you shouldn't look at the sky at all. Like, don't get into, what's it called?
Astrology.
Okay, astrology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, they screwed that up too. Because
Yeah.
ology is the study of, but they changed it to astronomy for the study of, and astrology as hockey foddy.
Right.
When it's the opposite.
But
right?
it is totally the opposite. Astrology is way more scientific than astronomy.
Agreed. And that's why it gets confusing, because ology actually means the study of, right? Biology,
Mm-hmm.
technology. Okay, so in this one verse right here, they're hiding that you should pay attention to the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hiding that there's a calendar. They're hiding that there's appointed times with the Creator that He wants to meet with us, all by translating it the way they did.
That's huge. That's huge.
Right.
With just a couple of words, they threw all that stuff off.
Right, and don't forget, when they change it to expanse and you talk about the lights in the expanse, then you can believe it's a never-expanding universe, because it's expanse.
Right.
All right, so let's go back to TS. And remember that it's not expanse, it's Rakia. And remember that it's not heavens, it's Shemayim.
All right. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the Shemayim.
Very good.
Well, okay, so to give light on the arets.
Yes.
And
Now,
it came to be.
yeah. Now remember, expanse or Rakia means the beaten out overlay. Well, what's the beaten out overlay of? The heavens.
Mm-hmm.
It's overlaying the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if you read that previous verse that says, well, the expanse is heavens, well, then this expanse of the heavens, you're still being graveled. You're still being confused.
Right here, where in 8 it says called the expanse heavens.
Right, but now we know it's up to the expanse.
But now it's the expanse of the heavens.
Exactly. It's the covering. It's the overlay. It's the beaten out covering. Yeah,
Okay.
of the heavens. And to give light where?
On the arets. On the
There you
earth.
go. So who are the lights for?
Well, that would, for us.
People on the arets, right? People on the arets. It's not for people in the sky. Okay?
Right.
So sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe if you go up too far, you don't even see the lights anymore. Why? Because the lights are manifested to us here through the Shemayim.
Mm-hmm.
When the light goes through the ether, the
Through the
Shemayim,
ether. Right.
and hits our eyes, those lights are for who? For us.
Right.
They have no other reason except for us to see, for the markers, the appointed times, the yamim, and the repeats. They're for us. Literally, those
Yep.
lights were made for us.
Yep.
All right, 116.
Okay. And Elohiym made 2 great lights.
Great light sources. I'm jumping in there.
That's
Two
okay.
light-
The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars.
Yeah, and the stars are very weird. It just says look shine. Like, it's the look shine.
Look, shine.
It's a shiny thing for us to look at. That's the gist of it in Hebrew. The 2 great lights, and this is Gadol, and then it's light source. The greater light source to rule the day, the lesser light source to rule the night. Now, go to the dictionary thing and then click on the definition for 2. Now, 2, if it's the actual number 2, it should say shenanim, but it's not. It's just sheni. Okay? If you look over there for the definition, what does it say? Shanaim.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Shanaim, it's Shani. So why are they pluralizing it there? Okay? Now go to the root.
Now it says Shani.
And what does that mean?
Properly double, that is second. Also adverbally again.
Right.
Second time.
So these two lights are not two lights. These are double lights. These are duplicate lights. They're the same size. They're the same distance, apparently, right? Not physically, apparently. So these are doubles. These, yes, they're on different polarities, but they're the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now look at the root of that, Shani. You're going to see it's the root of Shin, right? Shin is that two, divide, tooth, fold, yeah, again, okay? Or this is Shana, but the root of it is Shin. But we already looked at that earlier with a different word. But that's the point, is like, Shani is duplicate lights. So he created duplicate lights. Now this is something interesting here as well. So the word is made instead of create. That means he took the ingredients of what already existed and created these things, okay? It also says that he made the firmament, okay? But when it came to the earth, he didn't create plant life. He commanded the arets to create the plant life, right? But everything in the sky, he made. He took the ingredients of what was already there, which is the Shemayim and the arets, and he created the Rakia and the lights within the Rakia with the things that already existed in day 1 and 2 and 3. So, yeah, that, I know that's like just a minuscule difference, but to me, I think that it's a great thing to show that there's a difference between when he creates, when he commands his creation to do something, or when he makes something that's already there.
I think that's interesting to point out too, for sure.
All right, so we can go back to TS if you prefer. And then Elohiym set them in.
Set them in the firmament, or yeah, in the Rakia of the Shemayim.
There you go.
To give light on the arets.
There you go. So you're telling me that he put lights in the firmament to go through the unseen existence to give light to the physical realm? Wow, that's interesting. All right, go ahead.
And to rule over the day and over the night,
No.
What?
To rule over the Yom.
To rule over the Yom and over the Lila?
Yep.
And to separate the light from the darkness.
Yep.
And Elohiym saw that it was functional.
Very good. All right, 119. Okay, here comes our part.
And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the fourth Yom day.
Very good. What is evening?
Evening is twilight.
Morning?
The break of the day. The break of light.
Yeah, seen light. Yep.
Seen light.
Yep, breaking seen light. Okay, go ahead. 120.
Okay. And Elohiym said, let the waters teem with shoals of living beings, and let birds fly above the arets on the face of the Rakia of the Shemayim.
Very good. Now, guess what? We have issues here.
Yeah.
All right, go to HSB. Because, what the hell are birds doing in the Rakia, right?
That's weird.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's look for Rakia. Where is it? Oh, down.
Down.
Yeah. No. Same verse, but it's on the second to the bottom row. Firmament.
Firmament. Here we go.
Look at the word before firmament. Firmament. It says in the open.
In the open. Panai.
Yeah. Panai. That's the mouth of. Okay. So they're flying in the mouth of the Rakia. And you'll see that. Yeah. The face, the mouth.
The unused upon you from the face as the part that turns, used in great variety of applications. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So this
Oh, here we go. In this one, it says face, faces, presence, face of.
Yes. Yeah, and pan, the pei noon is actually mouth seed. So the mouth seed is the face.
Interesting.
Yeah, turn your face. Okay, so if you look at the word right before panai, there's a prefix.
Mm-hmm.
That is all. Okay? All is on, upon, over, against. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to, okay, it says on the arets, on face rakia, the shemayim. What this means is that the birds fly between haaretz and rakia. So from the arets to the face of the rakia, the shemayim, that's where the birds fly.
Okay. So they're not in the firmament. They're flying in the space between Earth and the firmament.
Right. Up to the face of the firmament.
Up to the face of the firmament.
As far as they can go is the face. Let's go back to the scriptures version again. All right. So when it says, let the waters teem. Okay, remember when we said, let the earth bring forth grass?
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of spiel here, okay? So let me go to 120 on mine. You know, I was just going to show my version and not go through it, but this is way better because, like, as I'm reading in English, there's things that'll trigger me, which will cause me to look at it and show people. Okay.
Whoa.
And Elohiym, and speak Elohiym, they swarm, they did, the Shemayim, or sorry, the Hamayim, not Shamayim, sorry, the waters, right? Hamayim, swarm, life source, living, and flyer, they flying, on the arets, on face overlay, the Shemayim. Okay, so there it kind of clarifies it a little bit more to where it's not about the birds being in the rakia, but to the rakia, right? And the thing that you also can tell from this is that the Shemayim is the producer of lives, the swarm, okay, swarming. That means that the sea life and the flyers came from the Yamim, the waters. Remember he called the collection of waters Yamim? Okay, so the Yamim produced sea life and flyers.
Okay. But here's why do you see this on my screen? It says let the waters, right? So I bring up the number for waters, Ma'im, and then it says figuratively juice, or by euphemism urine, semen, piss, wasting water. Wasting.
Well, all of those are waters, but you have to read the context of what it's talking about, right? So, like, if I was to spill my waters on the ground after having sex and not producing the way I'm supposed to, there's an actual story about that where a guy was supposed to help his brother's wife produce because his brother died. And it said that he spilled his waters on the ground and he was killed for it. Well, that wasn't water.
Right.
That was, right. So
it was semen, obviously.
Yeah, it has to be context, right? But water, the mem, water, is like, it's anything in the fluid state, really.
Okay.
Right, where it says the spirit of Elohiym hovered, Rakia hovered over the fluid. Right? That was way in the beginning of it. So that was the fluid state. Remember, dry did not yet appear.
Right.
So all there was fluid, and that was called the arets. Why? Because the only physical, tangible thing that existed at that time was fluid until the dry appeared. And then he distinguished, when he created the dry, he called the waters yamim, and he called the dry arets. Now he's distinguishing between the liquid and the solid. Before it was distinguished of the gas and the liquid, now he's distinguishing between the liquid and the solid. And now he's saying, hey, water, what you're going to do is you're going to produce life that's in the waters and these flyers that fly. And if you think about the way that birds flock and fishes school, they're very similar, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The way they move through their medium is very similar. The shapes of their body, wings and tails, fins and tails, you know, there's a lot of similarities between those two entities that come.
Yeah, well, and this goes back to our atmosphere being a fluid and behaving like a fluid. Whenever you watch like cloud time lapses, that you're seeing the fluidity of
the air. Yes.
The air.
Yes. Agreed. Now, verse 21. Oh my gosh, this is a mess, but we'll get through it. Verse 21.
All right. And we're coming up on 2 hours too.
Okay.
So
well, I mean,
do we want to make it to the end of this, to the end of Genesis? Are we going to, or can we stop? Should we stop?
If we're going to go through the whole section, we should go through at least chapter 2, verse 3, because they purposely separated the chapters to hide shit.
Okay.
All right.
All right. And Elohiym created great sea creatures and every living being that moves, with which the waters teemed according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And Elohiym saw that it was good, or functional.
Very good. Now, where it says winged bird, it actually says flying flyers, because even bats are called flyers, but they translate it as bird when they choose to. Okay, so these are flying flyers, not winged bird. And then sea creatures, that's not, it's this weird thing called tenanim. And if you look even in Jewish perspective or Christian perspective, nobody knows what these tenanim are, because they appear to be sea creatures in some places, but in other places they're inhabiting lands and abandoned territories. And they breastfeed their young, but they have scales. I mean, it's very weird when you look into tenanim throughout the scriptures. Very weird creatures.
So they're talking about things that we don't even see today.
Correct. It's not that maybe they still exist, but we don't see them around. Let's put it that way.
Maybe they're on the hidden continent.
They could be. Or maybe they're deep divers as well. You know, there's no way of knowing. You know, we keep finding shit all over the place, you know, that we didn't know was there. All right. And Elohim blessed them. Go ahead.
And Elohim blessed them, saying, be fruitful and increase, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the arets.
Okay. So, even though the birds were created from the waters, they increase on the arets. That's where they populate. But yet birds always seem to have a functionality with water, right? They'll follow waterways. They'll travel across the water. Some birds even live in the water, you know.
Right.
And fill the waters in the seas is, it's, I don't know. I'll leave that. Fruitful is a good translation. It says do fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Do fruit. Okay, and that is the same, you know, between like I said, the seed is the same between animals and plants and us, you know, that it's our fruit, because we produce the seed that goes into fertile ground, quote unquote, that reproduces. Yeah.
All right. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 5th day. Or the 5th yom.
There came to be mingled with darkness, and there came to be broken seen light.
There came.
Okay. No, it's just, I need people. I have to repeat it every time so that people get an understanding. You know. 1, 2, 4.
Okay, the Elohim said, and Elohim said, let the Eretz bring forth the living being according to its kind, livestock and creeping creatures and beasts of the earth according to its kind, and it came to be so.
Of the Eretz, yep. All right, so let me go to my version really quick. And 22, is that where we're at?
24.
24, okay. Chugging along, okay. And they speak Elohim, you will do push out. You will do push out the Eretz, life source living, to type her, in roar, that's cattle, we're going to get into that in a second, in roar, or loud chaos, and tread, and life of his, Eretz, to type her, and exist affirm. Okay, so if you go to, yes, I'm sorry, that sounds like broken English. It basically says that Elohim said that the Eretz is supposed to push forth life. Okay, so now he's commanded the Eretz to do it again. The physical plane needs to push forth living creatures, the roarers and the treaders. All right, so let's go to beasts or cattle. I don't know what it says there. I'm sorry.
Beasts, yeah.
Cool. So if you go to the definition of beasts, it's like Bahama.
Well, it says beasts in the Strongs, and then King James it says cattle.
Yeah, click on that.
Mm-hmm.
Bahama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you've ever heard of behemoth,
Mm-hmm.
same root word. Yeah.
Right.
From an unused root. You son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say unused if you're using it?
I know.
Probably meaning to be mute, as a dumb beast. Now this is close, but it's more like growl or grunt,
Mm-hmm.
not mute. All right, go to DVD or BDB. BDB. BDB.
Beasts, cattle, animal.
All right,
Collective of animals.
now go to ancient Hebrew. High place also,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, that word that was translated as deep. Remember, I said, it says deep, and they tell you deep means the ocean, but it kind of appears that it might be some higher elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Bahama is like high place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, keep scrolling down.
Tall creature. That's it.
Okay, so the root of this is the hum, which I gotta pull that up for you to figure out which Hebrew number that is, and I'll give people a copy of my notes if they want it. But the root of it is the HM part. You see the G? Sorry, N. NF1.
Okay, here.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that we're looking at, Bahama, right? If you look at the first picture, it's the tent floor plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then there's a little dude with his arms up. That means behold.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a water symbol. That's mem. And then there's another behold there. Okay, that right there, the behold, water, behold. If you look up that root word, it's chaotic sound or chaos, or you can't distinguish the sound, right? That's why I say it's a controlled chaos of a higher elevation, because the bet also means in, the first letter, the 10th floor plan. So in the growl, or in chaos, or and the one that's called deep, instead of a bet, it has a tav, which is a marker or a sign of the growling. So that's where I get the controlled chaos of the deep. So yeah, it takes a lot to get where I get. But I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. I'll put all the notations of how I got there. If people ask for my notes.
Controlled chaos, though, actually, that is another, in my opinion, that's another way of saying entropy. That's like
Sure.
the natural entropy of the realm, because it does seem sort of chaotic and random, but it all also works. It works that way. It's
also, if you think about the lights in the sky, if you think about how they're made, right? If we assume frequency, right? Sound frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a disturbance in the ether, so to speak. It's a disturbance in the medium that causes light to exist. So that is a controlled chaos as well, right?
Okay.
If you focalize the frequency,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes this beautiful thing. But that frequency is disturbance of the medium.
Right.
So that's also a controlled chaos. All right, 125.
All right, let me go back here. And Elohiym made the beast of the earths according to its kind, livestock according to its kind, and all that creep on the earths according to its kind, and Elohiym saw that it was functional.
Very good. And again, these are growlers and treaders or crawlers. So that works.
So that's like everything, right? Is that everything?
Yeah. Well, this is all the these are all the land animals.
Land.
Yeah?
Okay.
Because we already got the sea animals and the flying animals, and these are the land animals.
Okay.
Because it comes from the eretz, it comes from the dry.
All right.
Which, yeah, that you know how like bird and fish bones are hollow. Yeah.
Right. Okay, here we go. And Elohiym said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, or Shemaim, and over the livestock, and over the eretz, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground." Okay, so creatures is in italics here.
Right. Because those are the treaders, right?
Okay.
They don't need creatures in there. You could say just all of the crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
That would work. Yeah. So the only one you miss is Yamim for C's, but that's
Meme for
good
seas.
job.
Okay.
Yes, let us make man in our image. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you know, we're getting into the ideology of the collective consciousness that I was talking about earlier. But also like in the image and likeness, right? I don't know what it has there in the scriptures version because I'm pulling up my what is it, scriptures. What verse are we on? 26,
126,
right?
yeah.
Our likeness, image. Okay, image and likeness is what they're still using here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You break down that word for image and likeness, it gets really interesting.
Well, I already brought up the definition where it says image.
Okay, what does it say?
It says tselem, from the word root meaning shade, a phantom, that is, an illusion, a resemblance, a representative figure, or an idol.
Very good. So I put in shadow hour, in the shadow of hours. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it talks about in later verses that he protects us like a bird in the shadow of its wings. So this is in shadow hour, plural. Our shadow. In our shadow. Likeness is actually like blood's hour. Like blood's hour.
Like blood's hour. Like
Yep.
like our blood.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so if I click on likeness here, it's bringing up demuth.
Okay, go to the next root.
Okay. Dama. Implication, to resemble, liken, consider.
And now
Be
the
like.
ancient Hebrew.
Hmm?
Now ancient Hebrew.
Blood, likeness.
Oh. Go ahead, read it.
The pictograph is a door representing the idea of moving back and forth, though this is the water. A picture of water can represent any liquid, especially blood. Combined, these pictures mean moving back and forth of water or the flowing of blood. Similarly, the grape plant takes water from the ground and moves it to the fruit, where the water becomes the blood of the grape.
Word.
The blood of man is also water which moves through the body. When the blood is shed, the man or animal becomes silent. A son from the blood of his father resembles his father.
There you go. In our bloods. And bloods is plural, by the way.
Bloods is plural.
Yeah, in the 126. If you pull up the HSB.
Okay.
Where is it?
It's always so hard to find stuff when I switch to this version. Our likeness right here. This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you look at the word down below it, or the Hebrew to the right, sorry. The Hebrew to the right. Yep.
This one?
Yep. So the first part is, the first letter is a kaf, which means like. It's like a simile, you know, just like this, just like that, okay? Now the next two letters are dam, which means blood. Now remember, if you click on the definition, it says dama, but there's no H in this. There's no hay in it. Okay? See the hay? Or demote, okay, demote. All right, so Dalet Mem is the first two letters in the dictionary over there, which is also prevalent there. So the first letter is Kaf. The next two letters are the Dalet Mem. Dalet Mem is the first two. And then the Vav Tav on the, yep, stop there. That Vav Tav, the last two letters in that little three-group word there, is plural, oat. And then the last two letters means our, new. So like, bloods, plural, our.
Cool.
So, that means we have the fluid life source in our veins.
Yeah.
That is of the Creator. Yeah.
Which
now
would explain, and that explains why the cults why there's so much blood ritual and so much of what they do involves the spilling of blood, the tainting of blood, and now this whole thing with what they're doing now, they're trying to, alter that.
Exactly. Yeah. So the blood, now it's in our fluid state, right? But it used to be non-fluid. It used to be in the spiritual or the unseen existence state, right? But now that we're physical beings, which came with the curse, we'll look at that later. But its original source is from the Creator, and I have a theory that originally we had white blood, and then later we obtained red blood, because white blood does what for the body? What does white blood cells do for the body?
That's healing, right?
Healing. What does red blood cells do? Well, it carries oxygen through the body. So before we needed oxygen to keep our bodies alive, maybe it was just pure white or light blood. Not in the physical, but in the etheric, if you will, metaphysical.
That's interesting.
But I'll get to that when we get to chapter 2. We're not there yet, but go ahead, 127.
All right. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him. Male and female, he created them.
Okay, so this is good because it has the word the there. But it's actually ha-adam. Okay, so Adam, people think that means Adam is his name. Like his name is Adam, right? But this is, you can click on that. Adam.
Adam, a human being or the species, mankind.
Yeah, and it says from 119, so go ahead and click that.
Adam, to show blood in the face that is flush or turn rosy, to be dyed, made red.
Yeah. So, remember, Dalet Mem means blood. Okay, the last two letters in that three-letter word is blood. The first letter is a prefix that means I will. So it's saying I will bleed, maybe a prophetic statement. Okay, the I will bleed. Now I'm gonna jump to. Hold on one second. I gotta look it up myself. Make sure I don't steer you to the wrong place. Let's see. Genesis. Okay, go to Genesis 5:2. This is going to trigger people. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and read that.
Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them, and he called their name Adam in the day they were created.
Okay, so the key word here is their name.
Right. Their
so there
name.
was no distinction between man and woman when they were created.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, though. All right, go back to this.
All right.
I'm just saying, though.
Okay. So 128. And Elohiym blessed them, and Elohiym said to them, be fruitful and increase, and fill the arets and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the Shemaim, and over all creeping creatures on the arets.
Yeah, and C is Yamim.
C is Yamim, okay.
Yep.
I don't have that one in my head yet.
Okay. Yamim. Yam is C, and Eem is plural. Yamim.
Yamim.
All right.
Okay.
And okay, and they bless. Okay. Bless is actually the root of bless is knee. So you bring yourself low onto your knee. Okay, so that's how Elohiym blesses us, or how he blesses anything, is he brings himself low. That means he interacts, right? He interacts with that lower frequency to bless them. Yeah? Because it actually means he kneels. Yeah, it's good stuff. Fruit you do, and many you do, and fill you do. Action to the arets. And underfoot of her, you do sheet. Okay, that's dominion, sheet. Of the fish of the Yam, and of the flyer the Shemaim, and in all the living the treader on the arets. Okay, so this dominion is actually a sheeting, which sheeting is more of a covering than a ruling, right? Mm-hmm. It's more of a interactive protection. I think that this is talking about, and by the way, we're going to get into this in the next verse, but this is not talking about killing animals. This is talking about interacting with them with protection. It's underfoot, but you're supposed to sheet over them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
129.
And Elohiym
sorry, I was looking in the other window. I didn't realize you were looking at the definitions and stuff. You should definitely do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I am. I just as we're going, I'm clicking on stuff to bring it up on screen.
Yeah, subdue it is underfoot, and then rule over is actually sheet, where it says sheet or dominion.
Dominion, right here.
No, I guess that's the underfoot. Oh my gosh, it's hard to go back and forth. Subdue.
I know, it's so hard. I know. Whenever I switch over to this HSB version, then I'm like, what? Where am I?
Oh, they only put one definition down there. Oh, I see what they did now. There's 2 Hebrew words and only one definition.
Oh, really?
128. I gotta check this. This might be a typo. I found a typo the other day too. 128. I gotta expand my screen here. Okay. Subdue is foot. Dominion. Yeah, the one that says H7287 is dominion. Do you see that one?
Here. Yeah.
After iridu or rada. To rule, have dominion, dominate, blah, blah, blah. That's their whole.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to AHLV, ancient Hebrew, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, I'm
You're
there.
Yeah, so spread or sheet.
Mm-hmm.
But by extension is ruling, right? So you're sheeting.
Yeah, so a sense
You're
of spreading out rather
Yes.
than rule on the throne alone.
Exactly. And to descend, you know.
A ruler is one who walks among the people in the sense of spreading out rather than rule on the throne alone.
Yep. So that changes a lot of stuff
Yeah.
from the way we see things in our culture.
Right.
Okay, so this is like interacting with, right? It's not just sitting in your high place saying, you know, I'm going to kill that animal.
Right.
It's coming down, you know, to their level and interacting with them and sheeting them, covering them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we were talking about where I think, yeah, absolutely. I think we should come back to the place where we can interact with animals on a subconscious level.
Yes.
All right. Where are we at?
129. Okay. And Elohiym said, "See, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the face of all the arets, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it is for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, or of the Shemayim, and to every creeping creature on the earth, in which there is a living being, every green plant is for food." And it came to be so.
Right. So arets.
Arets.
So every being
Mm-hmm.
of the arets, that shit that grows out of the ground is food.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I take it a step farther to include the seed. I think the seed is very important. Like, I do not. This is Jack's perspective. Okay. Don't have a conviction if it's not your conviction.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't eat fungus because it's spores. It doesn't seed. So take it for what that is. And the thing where we were talking earlier about dominion killing animals, these two verses prove that that's not the case. Originally, in our perfect states, now granted we have these different desires in our flesh bodies now, but it used to be enough for us to say that everything that grows out of the ground is food for you. And I think it was so easily accessible that you could actually walk up to a tree like Yeshua did and say, okay, tree, give me fruit. And it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to give to you. Just like that.
Right.
You know? Because time is nothing in that state, right?
Right.
So this thing where dominion is to like enslave and kill animals is not in this context at all. That's what some churches have described dominion over these animals to mean. Like that's their excuse, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say that.
You're right. It doesn't say that. It just says that you rule over it.
Right. By covering it.
Right.
Spreading out and covering it, yes. Okay. So 30, go ahead.
And Elohiym saw all that he had made, and see, it was very good, or very useful. And there came to be twilight, and then there came to be first seen light the sixth day.
Okay. You skipped 30, I'll read it. To every beast of the Arets.
Oh, did I?
That's okay.
Oops.
To every bird of the Arets, every beast of the Arets, every bird of the Shemaim, every crawler on the Arets, in which there is life, every green plant is for food, and it came to be affirmative. Yes. All right. Chapter 2.
All right.
Shemaim Arets. I'm just giving you a heads up.
All right. Shemaim Aretz. All right. Thus the Shemaim and the Arets were completed, and all their array.
Okay, so everything that is necessary for life to continue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entropy and rebirth. All of it was made. Done. 6 days. Everything that's needed is here. Period. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Man doesn't need to create anything to adjust this place, is what I'm trying to say.
So everything's here. We got everything we need.
That's right.
All right.
Not that I don't enjoy using the functionality of this computer.
Right.
This is very good. But I'm saying everything we needed to sustain life and to continue life was there.
Right.
Period.
And in the seventh day, Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made.
Okay, what is day?
What is day? Day is Yom.
Yom, right. So light time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, praise Yah. I'm giving glory to Yah because he just sent me some future income. He sent me some work.
Awesome.
All right. So, on the seventh Yom, Elohim completed all of his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh Yom from all of his work. Work is travel. Hold on, let me look it up, sorry. Travel and work. Okay, so traveling work. So anything that, if you're a messenger, it has the same root. And if you're a king, it has the same root. It's a transport work. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That it's not important for now, but there's other places where, like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. For instance, like the word that's translated as angel literally just means messenger. Is a transport worker for the Creator.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay? All right. He transports it from the unseen existence into the seen existence. All right? Verse 3.
All right. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made.
Right. Now, blessed is what? Kneel, right? He came down to bless.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something where the Creator will come down to our level, quote unquote, to interact with us on this seventh day. And sanctified is better than holy. Holy actually is a Indian deity, not Indian as in Native American, but from India.
Mm-hmm.
Sanctified is better. So that seventh day, he has set apart for him to interact with us, which is this day, today. Right. This seventh Yom, this seventh light period.
Right.
Now remember, I used to do sunset to sunset, seventh day, but now I just do daylight hours because I have a understanding that he called the light Yom, period. I mean, that it's hard for people to wrap their minds around it because they get wrapped into a tradition. But people that come out of the church that end up starting to do scripture will get wrapped up in new traditions. You know, if you get stuck in a tradition, then you can't learn anything.
Right.
You have to actually research, why do I believe what I believe? Why do I know what I know? It's the same thing with flat earth or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You have to investigate why you believe what you believe.
Exactly.
So that ends our little section there.
So yeah, that will be the end of episode 1 We got through Genesis 2, 3.
3. 1, 1 to 2, 3. Yeah.
1, 1 to 2, 3. So what do you think the purpose of them taking this seventh day out? And because it does seem weird. Why would they take that if they're talking about everything he did to create, and why would they separate this seventh day from the first chapter as part of that? So what do you think about that?
Look at how this chapter begins.
Mm-hmm. The seventh day God rests.
No. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed.
Yeah, they're completed.
What thus? Thus what? What are you talking about? What thus? Oh, now you got to go back. So the whole thing is when they started, there was no numbers in the original scriptures. There were, they were basically paragraphed, right? There was like large spaces in between areas of thought.
Mm-hmm.
And this area of thought from 1:1 to 2:3 was one section in Hebrew. But then they broke it up because they could address the 6-day creation and not address the Sabbath. Why? Because they had instituted the first day worship already, the Sunday worship. You see? So if they saw this on the day that we're... Am I breaking up or...
No, you're good.
Okay, I heard a pause of sound, so I was making sure. So they had already established the Sunday worship, and they didn't want you to address that the seventh day, not the first day, was set apart by the Creator to meet with us.
Mm-hmm.
So because they already had their religious institution set up when they added the numbers, that's why.
Okay.
So yes, it's another hide, right?
Right.
It's just like the thing where they hide festivals, as they translated it in Leviticus 23, and they just call it seasons in chapter 1, because they want you to not find out about his appointed times. But Leviticus 23, the first thing they tell you about is the Sabbath.
Right.
Feel free.
All right.
Yes. Elohiym is the mighties, the strongs.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack, for joining me. And we're going to be doing this every Saturday. Usually we're scheduled for 11:11, although today we did have a little bit of technical difficulties getting started, but hopefully we'll have that ironed out for next week. And hopefully next week we can be doing this back on the Karen B channel. This is something I'd like to do on the main channel, but I got a strike, so we had to do the first one here. So if you enjoy this, join us again.
Okay, Ori Sheet's asking about plural for what? You gotta go back. You gotta watch this video all the way through, man. We went through a lot of cool stuff. Talks the plural.
We covered it all in the beginning, so go back. But so
yeah, Creator does have a name. God is a title, and God is a replacement of the title. Elohiym is a title. God is the replacement of the prosperity deity. Yes, I'm watching the chat. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and also I see that some people donated to my stream. Thank you for donating. I missed that, you guys, and I'm sorry. Realize, and real math.
All right.
I see that. Okay. I don't have super chat on this channel.
My email's in the description. If you have any questions about this specific portion, feel free to write in and ask me the question, because if you ask me questions about scripture, I have people that'll ask a one-sentence question that it'll take me all day to write out an answer for.
Yeah.
So please keep it on this subject.
Yeah. Jack's email is in the description if you have questions about stuff that we talked about, or if you want him to send you the file for the versions that we're reading in the eSword app, because for me on a Mac I wasn't able to get it, so Jack had to send it to me. If you have it on PC, you'll be able to get all this stuff yourself for free probably, but if you are like me and have an Apple and you need Jack to send it to you, he can do that.
Correct. And yes, there is no J in Hebrew. J didn't exist until 600 years ago. Very good. Yep.
All right.
And that Amanda Yeats said, good daylight hours for everyone.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And so join us again next Saturday, hopefully on the Karen B channel. Right?
Right.
All right.
Absolutely. Here.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.